Begin to the back. People think I'm funny cause I always make them laugh. I ain't even being funny, I be really spitting facts. I'm about balance and I got talent. Every challenge I overcome. Low key is savage, never be average. Give me a task and I'll get it done. Minding my business whenever I come in. I'm handling business while I'm having fun. I ain't worried about winning, but that would be dumb cause there's no competition. I already won, huh? Yeah.
Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Astrologiks, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I'm going to be talking about Mars conjunct the South Node in Virgo. And so anytime two planets are conjunct, that means they're really close together like this. It's at 19 degrees, happening on July 20th. However, you might have started feeling this really this whole week, and you'll be feeling it all next week and possibly even after that because it's tightly connected to the Mercury and Leo retrograde as well as the Leo new moon. And so we'll be kind of dealing with this energy really throughout both of those two transits really until the next 6 months. So this will reactivate the eclipse we had, the Virgo eclipse we had in March. The signs that will feel this the most are Scorpio, Aries, and Virgo. Scorpio and Aries because Mars rules Scorpio and Aries. And obviously Virgo because it's in Virgo, but everybody has Virgo somewhere in their chart. So you want to look at the Virgo area of your life to see where some of this stuff might be playing out for you. The South Node really represents the collective need to let go of something. Anything around Virgo themes. So this is overthinking, being overcritical, micromanaging, the lack of operations when it comes to systems in the workplace, being a perfectionist. It's going to show us, what has been hindering our progress, and allow us to release and let go to make room to kind of address more health and wellness in our daily routine. So a lot of this will be about addressing past habits, systemic issues from past actions that need resolution. So when I think of like systemic issues, I think of, how the system is pretty much set up for people to fail really in general. And when you look at it from that perspective, we're looking way farther back than, just March of this year, because a lot of these systems were set up quite some time ago, and they've grown and evolved over time in a way to kind of keep people down and out, or to make people feel less than, in a state of lack, and this is all systems, if we're being super honest, but because it's between Virgo, and then we'll be looking at Leo as well. All systems might not really get touched upon or talked about, but with Uranus and Gemini, you can rest assured that a lot of these systems that have been set up will be drastically changing and evolving over time. And this period of time since Uranus has moved into Gemini is really everything that's coming up is really showing us more of what to expect next year when Uranus fully moves into Gemini. Because at the end of the year, a lot of those outer planets will move back into Pisces and Taurus. And so this is just a glimpse of things to come. And everybody's going to be at different places and spaces with this. So you have the next 6 months to really get, understand what this transit is trying to help you release and let go of. It's very karmic. South Node is very karmic. And so there's a lot to kind of unpack there, but yeah. So 19 degrees is a Libra degree, which represents our relationships to Virgo themes, right? So that's coworkers, habits, health practitioners, health centers, pets, vets, vet centers, legal cases due to healthcare malpractice. And mostly because we didn't have all the facts, data, and information. And then we can also see, obviously, a lot of legal matters around cheating with management. So, like, hookups and relationships in the workplace, and especially with Hollywood stars. We can see a lot of things that during this time coming out about how somebody is at work, doing a movie or recording a video, and they're perhaps cheating with somebody on set. I also think this could be like on an everyday personal level, finding out the same kinds of situations with business partners, and people who come to your business or clients, and or somebody you've met or ran into while taking care of any one of these in particular responsibilities and things of that nature. It's going to be very interesting to see how some of this plays out. And obviously, not everybody's going to experience this, and not all the topics that I talk about here today are even going to be discussed or, make headways or things of that nature. But I try to cover all aspects because, everybody's different. So it'll be interesting to see. Mars triggers. It instigates, it stimulates, accelerates something in us to connect it to loss, letting go and releasing. And so I think we're going to see a lot of aggression, anger, frustration with where we've been when it comes to Virgo themes. So this is, being angry and frustrated with your health, your habits when it comes to taking care of your health, how we work, how the work system or day-to-day process is set up, being frustrated and annoyed with outdated systems, conflict with things not getting done, or funds not being available, or services not being available, or people not doing their job, like a lack of respect, especially in nonprofits and services that are, free, or for, lower income people. I think we might see a lot of frustration, anger around how people are treated in those particular fields. And even some questions around, are those services actually really benefiting people? And can we do a better job with that? Should we be doing it? Is there a better way to help people get on their feet as opposed to, I don't want to say pacifying people, to be dependent on the system? Are there things that we can do that better benefit others. Some people might feel like we're a little too needy or spoiled. And this is a hindrance to our true, authentic ability to be great. And is there a way we can resolve that issue? Is one of those ways cutting funds and making people work a little bit more harder for what it is they want? Or a better way to look at that is making people more responsible for the things that they want out of life. And I think that might be a hard pill to swallow because we've been so conditioned to think that the system is supposed to help us. And that'll be different for every single person. Um, that'll be an interesting debate for sure. I think we can especially see these kinds of topics or questions or, frustrations and upsets or debates around public health, the workforce, even military with Mars. Mars is, military. Um, Mars also rules being assertive, aggression, conflict, war, cuts, burns, bruises, sharp items, needles, knives, fires, inflammation, fevers, headaches, any kind of gut health or intestine health um, that lead to other problems. Um, I'm even thinking psychosomatic things like I want to say it's psychosomatic can be more like mental health, and how we kind of um, see or view things or perceive things to be. But again, because we've been doing it so long, it's embedded in the very fabric of who we are, how we get up in the morning, how we work every day, because that's the way the system is set up. And so over time, it starts to become more of a hindrance as opposed to like so say like for example, we had a system or a workplace that allowed naps, encouraged half days, more time off and paid time off for particular things, more support around particular things that are more like healthy, that encourage the healthy living. Maybe you get an hour for work or 2 hours for work. 1 hour goes to working out. Another hour goes to actual lunch. Maybe even 3 hours where another hour again would go for a nap. And so now that psychosomatic system becomes a part of the very fabric of how you operate in your daily life. This can even go back to education and, how people attend school and what that process looks like making time for yoga during class, starting at an early age. What if, these systems were set up that offered and provided more health and wellness practices within the daily function of them? Will we be better people type stuff? And so there could be questions, debates, and things about that, or arguments, frustrations, even lawsuits around these types of themes, accusatory to, well, I wouldn't be this way if the system was a little bit better or healthier or offered or provided more time, space, and support for healthier living type stuff. I could see some of these kinds of things coming up, which I think eventually is going to lead to leadership in the workplace just being like, fuck it, I don't want to deal with these people complaining. Um, fire them all, lay them all off, let them all go. And now it's an opportunity for AI and robots and all that stuff to come in because they don't have to worry about the complaints or just human error and, stuff like that. That could be a possibility. Virgo is a mutable earth sign. It's ruled by Mercury and it lives in the sixth house. And so mutable energy is very flexible, open to change, and can go with the flow. And I think that's probably going to be something that's going to be really hard to do at this time. Or on the other hand, once we have this kind of breakthrough or reckoning or release and let go, we're gonna be like, fuck it. I don't really give a shit anymore. And you'll ease your way into like, I'm not gonna fight it. If it works out, it works out. If it's something I'm meant to go to, I'm meant to, then I'll go. You know, it'll happen, it'll work itself out, or it just won't. But I'm not gonna fight for it. I'm not gonna argue about it. I'm just gonna figure out something else to do or move in another direction. And that's where you get this kind of idea for the North and South Node to be very fated decisions that we're making at this time, depending on, again, where you're at. You know, if you're fighting, you're angry, you're aggravated, and you're kind of, arguing to make a change or trying to force somebody to make a change or, prove your point, so to speak, that can be kind of seen as you not wanting to change, you know. It's debatable. Okay, it's debatable. Choose your battles wisely. Um, yeah. So yeah, Virgo rules analysis or being very analytical. Um, the service industry, specifically nonprofits and places who need funding or grants and things of that nature to stay afloat, to stay in service, to stay operational. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff coming out about that. It rules the healthcare system, really the entire healthcare system. And opposite of Virgo, we're looking at the South Node, which is hospitals, mental health facilities, jail cells, prisons, anything to do with water, any kind of business, service, operations that happens in the ocean on water. This could also be addictions on a personal level, a lack of clarity or the victim mentality, not knowing what you want to do, feeling lost and confused, and the inability to move due to fear, or not having faith or believing in yourself. Pisces is faith, religion, spirituality, your beliefs. This is also your dreams, your sleep habits and patterns, what happens at night, what you do at night, the things you do behind the scenes, behind closed doors where nobody really sees. Hollywood for sure is going to come up, obviously, majorly, with Mercury and Leo. And your spiritual practices, religious leaders, and synagogues, churches, and anything to do with all of that is ruled by Pisces. And then it's your emotions, your sensitivity, your intuition, dreams, signs, symbols, synchronicities, daydreaming. All these things are kind of up for review, how we talk about them, think about them, feel about them, how we use them. Are they beneficial to us? Are they not beneficial to us? We're going to be kind of reevaluating a lot of these themes. Even creative blocks. Pisces is our creativity because the higher planet to Pisces is Venus, right? And the ancient ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. So we're also looking at Jupiter and Cancer as a way to help and support us through whatever changes or whatever it is we're releasing and letting go of, right? And I'm going to keep saying it. I know my Capricorn full moon video might have been a little, people might have been like, what the fuck is this bitch talking about? but but that's going to be where we are going to go for support, which is home, family, our roots, where we come from, you know, um, get-togethers, memories, um, the past. Sometimes the past is where we learn from. And so it doesn't always have to be a negative thing when we're thinking about going to the past. You can sit back and really, really reflect on what you did, what you didn't do that you wanted to do, you know, um, reading old emails, looking through old photos that bring up some kind of nostalgic feeling that helps you remember where you fell off or how you got turned down a particular road that maybe I don't want to say necessarily that you didn't want to go to, but maybe you wasn't prepared for, right? But you did it because you had to be responsible, Capricorn. You had to be a leader or take some kind of control of the situation at hand, or even it can be seen as accountability for the actions that you took, right? But maybe now, perhaps what it's suggesting is that that part of your life has ended. You've did it, you've completed, you've gone as far as you can go. There's really not much else you can do. You can let that go and let that ride. And now it's time to look at something else or go back to something else that you forgot in the past. Bring it to the present. Start working on that, evolving that, and so on and so forth. Right? This could be 1,001 different ways that we can look at this stuff. But yeah. Back to Virgo. So this is also clinics, hospitals, nurses, day centers, and then the things that you do on a regular basis, like doing laundry, eating your vegetables, putting away, having a to-do list, walking the dog, cleaning the car, those everyday things that you do are up for review. And so again, the South Node is karma and the skills you bring from a past life. And they're really hard to let go of because the South Node is where we're very comfortable, because it is something that we came here with, a knowledge or a wisdom that we have from a past lifetime that we bring into fruition into this lifetime. And it's really, foundationally, again, going back to that example that I gave, of what you start when you come here. You start with what you know, right? And so this might be about, as your journey through this lifetime has gone, you've learned new things, you've experienced new things. You've changed, grown, and evolved in some way, shape, or form. How can you take those particular things and put those in the future, in the forefront to, build on that more as opposed to the skills you had from a past lifetime, which could be really, really hard. And they can be one and the same. I've seen some charts where it's like, oh, there's no escaping this. You're going to continue on this journey. And yes, everybody evolves in different ways. But sometimes, your feathers don't change. You evolve and if you keep the same colors that you have, you still look the same. You're still doing something else, but you do it in a very, very different way. So there's that aspect. Um, so we can be really focused on past themes here for sure. Um, especially things again around Virgo themes, which could be like being a perfectionist, which is just an illusion of control, and I think some of these themes are kind of harder to acknowledge when you're doing something right or wrong. I use that word very loosely because I feel like at specific times in our life, there has to be some wrongdoing in order to learn, but there also needs to be times when you have to go it alone and do something by yourself. And that codependency to the way that we learn as humans, which is through human connections, um, you know, can be really hard to let go of. Or you can feel like, why does nobody want me? You know, why do I always lose connections? Why am I always getting into fights and arguments with people? Why can't my channel grow or my content be seen more? Why is it hard for me to get clients? Why is it hard for me to connect in the real world? Um, and it can be very depressive. There could be a looming sadness, even if you're up every day doing what you got to do and, appearing normal with everybody else. There's a hidden kind of sadness, depression, you know, um, kind of frustration with life and how your life has turned out and why am I not like everybody else? And this is where your chart becomes super, super, super important. You really, really, really want to not just go by the general astrology. This is where your weekly astrology really comes in handy because now what you're doing is you're integrating the everyday astrology to your astrology, like a synastry chart. When you put two people together to see if they're meant to be together, you could do the same thing with a daily chart in your chart. And you really get the opportunity to learn how to move and flow, ebb and flow, or surf these transits with some clarity, knowledge, wisdom, or knowing this too shall pass. This is just a moment in time that I have to go through for this particular reason. And until I learn what that reason is, I'm isolating, I'm healing, licking my wounds, I'm sleeping, I'm resting, I'm filling up my cup, I'm taking care of me, I'm doing self-care, I'm thinking and reflecting and trying to understand where I'm going wrong or why I feel the way that I do. This is how your Gemini brain, even the moon can be your thoughts, um, figure life out to help you make better decisions. Um, or again, just to understand, like, it's okay where I'm at right now, because I know it's not going to be forever. This is just a process I have to go through, and I'm repeating myself, so I'm going to shut up. But I think you get the picture, right? Um, this can be, again, a lot of rage, nitpicking. You can have passion about something that you want to do, but don't take action. This can bring up a lot of frustration. Um, be careful for burning bridges, being overly analytical. Turn your anger into service. Um, that means taking your skills, talents, knowledge, and setting up a practical system for it to grow into something useful or helpful to humanity. Um, letting go of overworking so you can focus more on home and family or self, or just fun, happiness, joy, love, relationships, connections, networking, or the passion you have for a hobby, um, or your business. I think that's going to be the biggest goal here for a lot of people. And granted, everybody's not an entrepreneur, everybody doesn't have a skill. Again, this is not going to be relative to all people in one particular way, but for sure, it's going to be about, I just want to be more happy. I just want to be happy. I want to do what makes me happy at the end of the day. Um, Letting go of details, over responsible, again, micromanaging, and whatever's hindering your progress. So we can see a lot of reconciliations at this time. I do think I talked about that in my last video. And reconciliations don't have to be just for the recent past. This could be childhood people coming back that you went to like school with or college with, or um, work buddies and things of that nature. It could be family members that you haven't spoken to in a while, old spirits, guides that are coming back like, yo, I remember you when you was mad. Yeah. I don't know why I'm thinking of Drop Dead Fred right now. I think I might try to find that movie and watch it, but imagine what that conversation would be like if you had like an old imaginary friend coming back to visit you. That shit would be crazy. But these things can really happen. No bullshit. Don't knock people's experiences in their life. This could be an old ghost, old house where you grew up, a neighborhood. Uh, you know, it's going to be different for everybody, and the possibilities are endless. You know, Maybe this is an old hobby you had, or a place that you wanted to travel but never went. Uh, whatever. This could also be the end of wars, um, which, at least for this year. We're going to have a stellium in Aries next year around March, April. And then, the end of war doesn't seem so realistic at that point. So I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I want to be positive. Damn sure don't want to be a part of no fucking war. But let's just face it. War is on the table, whether we like it or not. But I do think at this particular time, this could really be some debates of uh, kind of mending fences and bridging some kind of solutions to some problems with 19 degrees Libra, or agreements. Since we don't fucking get along and I don't like you, whatever the war is about, it shifts and changes to different allies, um, and things of that nature. So this could also be people quitting their job or quitting a bad habit. Um, some other Virgo themes is, big changes in doctor's offices, with pets, colleagues, if you have tenants, roommates, rental properties, gyms, juice bars, yoga studios, unions, again, healthcare, military, defense, and wheat, rice. I do think that we are going to see a surge in people, especially with Uranus moving out of Taurus. There's some knowledge or wisdom that we have from that, where we become more health conscious, or become more health conscious with Uranus being in Taurus, and there's some knowledge or wisdom that could be connected, brought up, seen more of, talked more about around some of these changes that have come up, especially when it comes up to health and wellness. And that could be unfortunately due to the ending or, um, the releasing of some of these themes because they're no longer going to be available in some way. So when I say wheat and rice, vitamins, minerals, um, oils, um, even feng shui, using, words to heal. Words can be weapons too with this, unfortunately, but like positive affirmations. I know that might sound really corny, but it kind of reminds me of that doctor who did that experiment with the water, and he talked nicely to one jar of water and it crystallized, and then he talked bad and negative to another jar of water, and it was filthy, dirty, disgusting. And then one jar, he didn't do anything. He just left it there and it was just foggy. It wasn't as bad as the one he spoke bad to, but um, you know, words make a difference. Um, and so kind of being conscious or mindfulness, oh my God, that can be another really big theme, being mindful of everything, anything. Um, eating healthier foods that have more vitamins, minerals, nutrients, um, nurses, doctors. And so when we kind of put all those themes together, we can see healthcare strikes, uh, information and lawsuits coming out about the pandemic and how we could have done a better job if we had data, information, and documents, poisons, people being poisoned, E. coli, whistleblowers around pharmaceutical companies fucking up shit. Um, there could be drilling that causes oil spills when it comes to the Pisces side, right? Because I believe, I don't know for sure, but I am positive that most drilling is done in oceans. Um, This could be leaked documents. We have the Epstein files, right? That's already coming out. I'm willing to bet there'll be a whole lot more of that coming out, especially when it comes to P. Diddy and his case. I haven't really done enough research about this Epstein stuff to talk about it, but I did watch the Spider-Man movie, spoiler alert, um, that I really think had nothing to do with fucking, did I say Spider-Man? Superman. The Superman movie over the weekend that I think has absolutely nothing to do with Superman. I mean, leave a comment below if you've seen the movie. If you're a big Superman fan, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking. That movie had nothing to do with Superman. It was so disgraceful. Like, I'm pissed that I spent my money on that shit, to be honest with you. But when I look at the esoteric meaning of that movie, I think Elon fucking hates Donald Trump's fucking guts. I went to go look up his his birthday. He's a Cancer. And Gemini's in Cancer. They go at wars like this quite often. It's really sad to see actually, but unfortunately, I think Elon is in the process of trying to destroy Trump. Now, I don't know who leaked those Epstein files, but him and Donald Trump were really close. The question is Donald Trump really guilty just because he's friends with somebody? I don't know. I don't know. I'm having a hard time. Um, I don't want to say believing it because I'm not a Donald Trump fan at all. I just think Donald Trump is young at heart as a Gemini, and sometimes we tend to connect with people who might not be the best people to connect with. But that doesn't mean that we're affiliated, guilty by association, you know. You just don't hang with people who have unsavory pasts and they're into unsavory things because after a while, people don't give a shit if you're involved or not. Now, do I know whether these things are true? No, I'm speculating right now. Um, Either way, I kind of got the feeling from that Superman movie that Elon is trying to set Trump up, whether it's through these Epstein files or he's going to get him sick. Because there was this one part of the movie where he was coughing, Superman being Donald Trump. Like it or not, that's who he was being played in that movie. Okay. I'm not saying good or bad. I really could give two shits, but this is just my perspective. Some black shit he was throwing up and he had to, it came out of his mouth, or it's just health issues in general. I think Trump's in the process of being kicked out of office, essentially. And whether he's being set up by Elon or anybody else, or it's just life and he can't, move forward in that position, I really just don't know. But I do think that Elon is determined to implement his ideology and idea of what government should look like, and that is the implementation of AI, just period. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. I can talk about that all day, but also, they might take away affordable lunch programs. We can see some issues about water not being clean. That's causing some kind of health issues or infections in pets, stomach aches in pets, viruses in pets, food recalls, pet food recalls. I mean, it could be recalls in human food as well. Again, gut inflammation, rice corpse catching on fire, wheat corpse catching on fire, the mistreatment of soldiers and veterans, jail time, prison time, evaluation and debates for how that whole system is run. Again, I'm not so optimistic about that change happening, but yeah. Um, um, People can be getting jail time, prison time for malpractice stuff, um, or for cyber attacks. Um, we can see traffic control issues, burglars, traffic. Um, we can see restrictions on road tests and license changes, food delivery strikes, um, military vets having like chronic illnesses and they're perhaps suing or advocating, or people are advocating for, again, better health and things, services for them, vaccine mandates on pets, internship bans, your insurance might get denied or the prices are going up. We're clearly already seeing those things happen, but this could also be in rental property, denying your insurance or work insurance not being covered anymore. Um, Tension in the workplace, issues with, going to the doctors. I feel like I said that. Frustration with rigid routines, overthinking, facts, data, and information, overthinking blocks, creative blocks. We can see some healthcare reforms, labor policies questioned, um, environmental concerns, um, issues with beauty, again, because Pisces and Venus are kind of one and the same. So we can see some issues, disruptions in the beauty industry, hospitality, food industry, liquor, beverage industry, grocery, transportation industry. Again, issues on waters, boats, boat accidents. We had a lot of those things going on. The bridge. I just heard New Jersey Bridge is being worked on right now over by the boardwalk, if I'm not mistaken. You can go look it up. And the New Jersey airport is shut down. due to, like, again, some kind of issue going on how the system works or runs. It's no longer in service from what I understand. Um, Being overworked and underpaid, that goes back to the health and wellness thing. So we could see, I mean, we've already heard Donald Trump talk about giving people raises. I don't know how that's going. Mental health awareness, even vaccines in general, not even having anything to do with the pandemic. We can hear, like, how they play those silent commercials 80 years later. If you had a mumps vaccine, then you can sue for issues that came up. Then they start naming like 600 diseases that have been reported over the years, and now they're offering some kind of malpractice suit, or you get money owed to you type shit. Uh, yeah. I also think we're going to see some major problems in nonprofits, especially when it comes to welfare, lawsuits, legal issues, or layoffs, because workers are using the money for themselves, even with Medicaid and what they do and don't cover, how much they do and don't pay. Um, and grant writing, grant money, and how they misuse that money. And now nonprofits are falling apart. That doesn't really allow people to do their jobs because they don't have the funding to support that or hire people. I mean, it's getting crazy. It's getting crazy. Um, Riots, labor rights movements, um, debates about automated services, the little bit that we do have, more layoffs, data-driven policies versus, holistic approaches, government job cuts. I seen something about that. I don't know how real it is. Some debates about FDA approval stuff. I think we've already heard some stuff come out about that. Waste management. Um, we can even see some, I hate to say that, but some attacks on hospitals, religious centers, or just leaders stepping down due to some kind of mismanagement of some stuff in these particular fields, hospitals and churches and stuff like that. And then, of course, like I said, we have to look at Mercury retrograde now as of Thursday, yesterday. I'm recording this on Friday. Mercury and Leo, because Mercury rules both. Mercury rules Virgo. And so Mercury is a big player in a lot of these changes going on. And Mars and the South Node are both squaring Uranus and Gemini and Venus that's currently in Gemini. While we're going through all this simultaneously, says a lot. It says a lot about Mercury and how Mercury is a big player in all of this. And so there could be some leadership decisions, especially in healthcare and celebrities, that people just aren't really happy with. And again, they're requesting for people to step down, or they're being forced to leave. Health and heart issues, especially in young children, Leo, those children. This could be about parenting. How you're parenting, questioning how you're parenting. Could you be doing a better job? Or do you need to release and let go? Are you like super overprotective? Or are you like try to micromanage your child's life, not letting them live their path? That's a tough one in the world we live in today. It's tough. It's tough. We can see attacks at child care centers or pediatricians or high schools, even theaters, live events. They could be like fires or security issues. Um, like was the place over capacity and that's why, shit went left type storylines. Again, affairs at work that lead to some kind of attack. So this is like an ex or something coming in like, yeah, can I have an appointment with so and so? And all hell breaks loose. Could you freaking imagine, dude? Um, um, Power outages, attacks on young children. Again, I hate seeing that. This could particularly be young children being attacked by animals, because we're talking about Mars. Mars is diseases, infections, bites, Again, I hate saying those types of things, but these are things that can come up with this energy. Um, you might be changing your child's pediatrician. People leaving due to bad leadership at work, immunization, you know, things getting talked about, or people can find out like that they're being funded by the pharmaceutical companies, and that's gonna make fundings get cut because we're learning about all the fucking health issues these people are causing. Um, with this sick care and system that they have. Uh, Wrongful termination lawsuits, trading platform issues, divorce breakup scandals that lead to some kind of custody battle. And not just children, it could be your pets too. That is a thing. It's a thing. I've seen it. Um, but people might be calling out of work because, they're dealing with a really bad breakup. I do think we're going to see a lot of deaths, specifically celebrities, but I do think, just to be honest, in general, a lot of pride and ego issues here. People unwilling to change because they don't want to admit where they're wrong. Breakups due to sexually transmitted diseases, or because they can't have a baby, because your partner can't have a baby. Or we can see like some kind of reform or loss of funding to Planned Parenthood. They've already been talking about that. And so, I mean, obviously, this can be like so many other different things, but, I think I've talked enough. As usual, family, I love and appreciate you. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.